Hi, folks. I'm George Valentine. I've been an employment services specialist for over 20 years, helping people who have challenges in their job hunt to move toward their dreams. One of the things that I've noticed in building the Hero Method workbook is that you are more than what you believe you are, that you have to understand the employer's perspective. Because when an employer and a job applicant sit down, if the job applicant thinks that the best thing that person can do is to hire me, but the employer doesn't see the connection between their needs and the individual's capabilities, that job hunter is going to leave the same way he came in, unemployed. One of the things that I've been able to develop through the Hero Method is to show the employer's point of view, because through that, you're going to change the way that you approach the job hunt. You'll see it differently, and you'll have an edge over those folks who don't really appreciate where an employer is coming from. The way that I've decided, the way that I've been able to express that employer's point of view is to become an employer myself. Here at Valentine's Diner, where we're able to show you how an employer sees the whole job hunting situation. Folks, I'm Buddy Valentine, and welcome to Valentine's Diner. One of the things that I'm going to talk over with you today is sometimes people wonder the tone of voice to use. They're a bit skittish, they're a bit worried about how they're going to come across. That's when I tell them to use their cheeseburger voice. You haven't heard about the cheeseburger voice? Let me tell you. When you walk into a restaurant, how is it that you express yourself that you want a certain food? That you're not leaving until you get that food? You use your cheeseburger voice. And there's a little story about that. When you're going in to see an employer, instead of this mamby-pamby, oh, gee, I don't want to interrupt your day, you have to express yourself with your cheeseburger voice. Let me tell you a little story about Little Johnny Uzi, this little kid who used to come into my diner years ago. He was a short kid, had a little brace on his leg, and the kids used to make fun of him all the time. Maybe you can relate to that. They used to call him Oozer the Loser. Poor Johnny, when he came in one time, it was just him and I in the diner. I remember it like it was yesterday. He walked in, he sat down, and I said, Johnny, little Johnny, what can I do for you? And he says, and I quote, well, I don't know. I don't want to interrupt you. If it's not too much of a problem, get a cheeseburger. And for those of you in the back of the room, he was ordering a cheeseburger. I sat down next to him and I said, Johnny, little Johnny, what can I got to tell you something here. You have to be able to express yourself directly. I get these interviewers all the time who say, oh gosh, I don't know, what am I going to say? I don't want to interrupt them. I don't want to come across wrong. You have to be assertive without being assaultive. When you come into my place, Johnny, I want you to be able to say to me, I want a cheeseburger. And I want you to take a look and, well, hey, let's try that right now. I want to see if you feel strong enough to ask me for that cheeseburger. Do you feel lucky? Well, do you, Johnny? Johnny came in the next day and he said, George, I've got it all planned out. I'm going to go to Hollywood and be a great action movie star. And I said, okay, Johnny, that's what you want to do? You go right ahead. I think you can do it. I really think that you've got it in you to go ahead. But let me tell you some more about the cheeseburger voice. And he said, no. You're not going to dissuade me. I'm going to go off there and I'm going to be a great movie star. So I get a call from him about a month later, and he tried out for a job. And one of the problems was that he goes in there and his role was to say to the camera, you know, I'm going to come back and I'm going to solve the problem when I return. So Johnny looked into the camera and he says, don't worry, everybody. I'm going to return, and I'm going to do that in a jiffy, and it's all going to be solved. The problem was, this other German fellow takes the job because he turned to the camera and said, I'll be back. He lands the job, Johnny doesn't. What winds up happening is that Johnny calls me up and I say, hey, look, you have to make your point stronger and more direct. In fact, you might even want to change your name from Little Johnny. That's what he did, folks. And people all over the world now know about Jack Uzi. Many of them have them in their own home. You have to understand, maybe you look at yourself as Little Johnny. Maybe you use a mamby-pamby voice, but inside of you is a Jack Uzi. Just remember that. Use your cheeseburger voice. Before the end of this video, go out there and practice. Think of the things that you want to say to an employer, short and succinctly, and say them out loud. Say them like you're not going to leave the building until you see that manager. That yes, you already know how you're going to approach things. Folks, use your cheeseburger voice. It's there inside of you. And you don't have to be Little Johnny anymore. Thank you for coming to the Hero Method. We'll talk with you again soon. Bye for now.